Here we go. We are looking at a 15-minute chart, and I'm going to show Mo, who requested this video, how to get into some 15-minute trades. Now that we know we're on a 15-minute chart, I'm going to turn the canvas off just to clear this up a little bit. And it's just like any other trades, Mo. Your best executions are going to be, first of all, I'm using a weekly zone right here, weekly. That's all I'm doing is using the weekly zone. You can set up a daily with it, which I will do like that sometimes, not always, okay? And I will use the daily bounce, right, to get into trades. So what do I mean by bounce? So let's just click right here, and we're getting into, for those that don't know, I'm going to turn off the weekly zone. This is a daily candle turned into a support and resistance zone right here. That's what this yellow is. And this right here is called the end cap. Okay. When price hits it, major reactions, major. And see, there it is right there. So these are 15-minute candles, right? So you could literally get into this trade right about here when this, I mean, you could limit order and stop loss down here, or you could watch a little bit more and get in when this beacon line right here turns green. So you could get in on the close of this candle. Your stop loss would go here, and then you would usually target this next zone. That's about what I do. But we're kind of bearish. I don't know when this was. This was February, so we're kind of still bearish, but I don't know. Let's see if it hits it. I wasn't paying attention. Does it hit it? Does it hit it? Does it hit it? But my suggestion would be just 2 to 1s, but there you go. It does hit it, and that would be a 2 to 1. So there you go. So this is how you can get into these nice swing trades in any type of market. It doesn't have to be futures. It can be anything. And we're going to go over some more examples here. So let's remove this and let's get out of replay mode. And I'm just going to show you, this is how the first light beacon works for any time frame. Okay, if you're looking at bigger candles and you're looking to trade longer, we're using bigger zones, and that's it. It's not that hard. So right here was an 830 dump, right? Well, if you look, before it got there, this end cap was sitting here right here like this, right? And price then fell through it, bounced off of this end cap right here from this daily zone, right? And consolidated above it. And then what does price do? Well, when you're looking at these end caps, one of two things is going to happen. It's literally one of two things. It's going to reverse and go up, or it's going to fall through, right? So what our job using this indicator is just to wait and see what happens. Does it go up or does it fall through? So let's see. So, well, it fell through. So what could you do? You could literally sell, right? Stop loss above that. Typically, I would put it above the zone. The zone is falling down. And then what are we targeting? Well, you can target at this, but we're beyond that. That risk to reward sucks. So we want to target like down here and try to get this zone right here as a TP, right? So let's check it out and see what happens. And obviously we know, but I mean, it's just fun to watch sometimes. But there we go. There's two minis, and let's see if we can get down there before our stop loss is hit. I honestly don't know. I didn't pay attention if there was any whiplash or anything up there. And we're getting really close. And so you could be, well, there we go. It hit. So 2 contracts, 21 grand. And this was 3 days of trades, right? So that's kind of how you're using the daily zone. Now, I like to mix in the weekly with it. So the red is also the weekly zone. I'll turn off the daily so we can just see that. So every one of these candles, or one of these forms right here, is a weekly candle turned into support and resistance. Okay. So we're looking at the same thing. We're seeing price crash through this weekly, right? And then it comes back up. Now, if we turn on our daily, we've got ourselves, well, we never come up and hit this. So you might not have taken that trade, which is fine, right? But the first time that actually comes up into a weekly is the next week, and it smashes into the weekly here. And if you look, it respects the mid, the 50% of it. So it's just kind of like opening ranges or 50%. What are we doing? So, and if you want, you can take the measurement of this thing here. So we will do this right here, like click that, right? And then we're just going to measure this, and then we're going to copy this, and we're going to go down 2 times, right? Maybe even 3, but 2 is where I would start to be paying attention to what's going on. And oh, come on, copy, there we go. And there's 3 times, and look at the reversal. Boom, see? So it's the same way with opening breaks. Like your take profit should be 50% of the opening break. So TP1, TP2, TP3 is the 50%. So here's TP1, here's TP2, here's TP3. These lines right in the middle of the boxes I just drew. So that, let's just remove drawings, and then I think I just deleted an indicator. Yep. So we'll remove drawings right quick, and that is how you can get into these trades on a weekly or even daily zone, right? So we're just waiting for zones to be taken out and then see what it does. Does it go up or does it go down? Here's another example right here. So we have this week ended, a new week starts. Now the indicator has labels that tell you what's going on, but you know that it's a new week just because it's Sunday at 6 p.m. and boom, now and it starts forming. So here's Sunday, it crossed under and then came up and then bounced off of it and went up and then bounced off of it again. This actually bounced off a daily end cap right here. So I'm going to turn off, there we go. See, daily zone, the yellow is the daily candle. This bounces off of it and pushes up, and this is at 11:45 at night, right? But we're getting into this over here real quick. So what does price do? Well, a new week starts, right? Here's Sunday at 6 p.m. right here, this line right here. Got a new week, whole new trading week starting. Well, what do? Well, we wait to see if it comes down into this zone here. Actually, to be honest with you, you could literally put a limit order here and a stop loss here, right? And then target a 2-to-1 like this, right? And see what happens. So and if it doesn't come down, oh, there it goes. So that was at 8:30 in the morning, and then did it hit that? Nope, not yet. Let's see. So this was 8:30 in the morning. So this is US session, and there you go. The next, throughout the evening, the next day actually. So 10 a.m. it busts through and hits your take profit. So there is a very solid 15-minute strategy, and it's just like any strategy we're doing. We're just waiting for price to come to where we want it to be before we get into the trade. And the places that we want it to be are areas where there's a ton of unfulfilled orders for whatever reason, and that's where they go. Now into the shorts. The shorts is the same thing. We're just looking at, here's a good example right here. So let's go right here. Okay, so there we go. So we get into the short. Honestly, I don't know if I would have just done a limit order on that one or not. It's hard to say, but possibly I might have. So if you just do your limit order, right, and then we go our 2-to-1, I don't think this one's going to play out the way we want it to, because that's a pretty steep drop, and I don't know. Let's see. But that's the general idea, right? And you're not going to win every trade. So yeah, so that one already gets stopped out. But it hits the daily, and let's see if that one's going to work out, right? So there we go. And then we go to 2-to-1, which honestly, I just go to this zone right here because it's more than likely, if it's coming down there. So that one would have been triggered, and that one won right there. See? So this one would have been at 2.42. But that's why so trading isn't just getting the trades right. Trading isn't just getting the entries right and putting your stop loss right and take profit. It's risk management. It's how much do you risk per trade? So since we lost this one, we get back into it on this one. Well, we only lost our risk, right? So whatever your risk is, say $200, $500, $1,000, whatever it is, you calculate your position based on how large your stop loss is, and that's what your risk is. So this risk is, say, well, just for an example, this is $250 of risk, right? Well, if you do the correct position sizing, that stop loss is bigger right there, right? That should still only be your risk. What are you risking? 250. Well, this should only, position size should only be enough to make this bigger stop loss $250. And you can do that in TradingView. It's got settings for that in the trade panel, or you can figure it out with a calculator, and you're in bigger trades, so it's not unseen to pull out a calculator. I do it all the time. But so this little trade right here would have made 2.4 times your risk, but you only, so that one we lost $250, right? But this one we made $250 times 2.44. So this is where your edge comes into play, and this is where using proper risk management and risk to reward is going to keep you profitable. So you made $610 off that trade right there if you risk 250 minus the 250 you lost. So for that day, or that day and a half, you were positive 360. So you were still profitable, right? So that's how you do, that's how I do the risk management. That's if you're not scalping, that's the way you should be doing it. Is just having a fixed risk, a percentage of your balance, typically 1 to 2%, and that's it. Or 10% of your drawdown if you're using prop firm accounts. But yeah, using these zones right here, waiting for price to get into them, setting limit orders and stop losses on the zones, and then targeting zones below it, or going for 2 to 1. So like this one right here, right? So we are waiting for price to come back up and hit this. So, well, we might have gone too far back. Hold on. So let's get out of replay mode here and draw this out, since it's so far away. There we go. That's close. So, and if you look, price comes to do it. Now you don't have to use limit orders. You can, this beacon line is here for a reason, right? So look at what's going on. Price comes up, it hits the 50% of that zone, right? And then the beacon line turns red. That's a good sign that, hey, price is dropping, especially when price is underneath it and it turns red and starts to go down like this, right? That's a pretty good sign. You just literally hit a 50% mark on a daily end cap, and beacon line's turning red and candles are turning red, and you're dropping below this daily zone right here. So like you could get into this entry and put your stop loss. You could look at something like this. If you're not just using limit orders and you're using market orders, you could get into this trade and put your stop loss, right? So we're waiting for it to come below the zone, obviously, and close below. Okay, so we sell, and you can put your stop loss at the beacon line right here, right? And then we're targeting 1 to 2s or whatever, but this is a high retracement, or not a high retracement, but it's a high chance of a really good retracement back down to to the consolidation. And where's your consolidation? Well, it's right here. So I would target this red right here, this red end cap on the weekly. That's what I would personally target and try to get to. So we'll target that and see if we get there. Now again, I wasn't really paying attention, so I don't know if it bounces off this or not, but let's try to target that and see what happens, right? And then you can actually trail the zones, right? So if we get a bounce above, there you go. Look at that wick right there. See that right there? That is nuts. Now, if you've made it this far in the video, you're a smart person, because the not smart people are going, oh, indicator, no, it doesn't work. No, it does work, and we're making money with it. And I'm not going to tell you how it works. And all these gurus out there, they're, oh, indicator, they just don't know, okay? And they want you to buy as many prop firm accounts as you'll buy from them using their code. So they're not going to tell you anything that's going to actually make you money. All right, this is the sauce. So use it And that's how I would get into the 15 minutes, Mo, is it's the same way I get into every other trade. Trade off these end caps. If you don't get an end cap bounce and you're bouncing off middle lines repeatedly like this, like look, this is a double top, right? Top right here and right here. And we're respecting this weekly midline. Doing that twice right here on Wednesday and then doing this again on Thursday. This is Wednesday during US session and this is Thursday during US session. More than likely, the probability of this actually dropping is really high when it's bouncing off a weekly zone like this. Okay, these are very strong zones. And if you look, this one comes, bounces off this one, right? You could get a 2-to-1 out of that. And then it comes down and sweeps. What does it sweep? It sweeps the end cap right here. If we actually go back, since it's already been mitigated, it's deleted. But if we go back, there you go. There's the end cap. It is sweeped it and it's pushing up. And look at this beacon line right here. This is telling you, oh, I should probably get into this trade, right? And you can do something like this, right? I would have been on that candle, but you know, here we go. And we're going under the beacon line. And if you want to just trade 2-to-1s, then just trade 2-to-1s. So we don't have to target anything. We're just trading 2-to-1s, right? So let's make sure our 2-to-1 is, yeah, so that is in line with this zone here. So that is not out of the realm of actually hitting that take profit, right? So let's just put this up there and see what happens real quick. There we go. And we would go break even at that point. I would, or at least, and oof, and there you go. And it hit it. So that is the power of the First Light Beacon. This is the 15-minute strategy I would use. If you have any questions, put it in the comments. Please like and subscribe. And if you would like the indicator, just head over to our website, breakouthunter.com, and you can subscribe and pick it up from there. Thanks. Have a good day.